day 43 of 365 days of meditation, and I'm still experiencing some flu symptoms, so I slept in today and then put some headphones on to meditate, just to block out the sounds from the neighborhood, dogs barking, traffic, etc. And I meditated for about an hour, and the practice today sort of carries over the same theme from the last little while, which is acceptance. And I don't really find I have to intentionally go into the meditation right now and think I'm going to practice acceptance. What happens is, I'll feel a sensation in my body, something that's uncomfortable, maybe an old injury, something that's aching, etc. And I'll just, maybe some tension that's uncomfortable, and I'll just acknowledge that it's there and accept the fact that it's there. And that's not to say that by accepting it, it means that, I don't feel like I have any control over it. It's just, there's nothing I can do in this moment to change it, so I accept that it's there. And, obviously I continue to do all my rehab exercises and whatnot, to try and feel better, but accepting it is sort of the first step towards potentially changing or improving upon my physical state. Other things that I work on accepting are things like, some memories that pop up from the past, difficult experiences, and I accept those. One of the ones, maybe an emotional state, some emotion that I start feeling, or a thought that I have that's difficult, or I, don't necessarily like, so to speak. I just accept it, and the idea is to try not to label it as something I like or dislike, or good as bad, or good or bad, and just accept it as what is. One of the curveballs I got today was, I got some thought about the fact that, the people that are most near and dear to me, that I love the most in my life, someday we will no longer be together. Death is inevitable for everyone, and so I tried accepting that, and that was massively difficult. I think I tried taking a step back further and accepting the fact that I cannot accept that one day I'll be separated from my loved ones. And I don't know when that day will be, and hopefully it's not for a very, very long time, but regardless, it was a challenging practice. I wasn't expecting that to pop into my mind. I don't have to intentionally think about the things that I want to accept. They just sort of pop up, and the practice is actually just acknowledging that I accept them, whatever it is that pop up, whatever the feeling is, whatever the sensation is, whatever the thought is, whatever the memory is, just accepting it. And I was thinking about it a little bit after, and why there's probably value in this practice. And what I found, especially in the idea of accepting mortality, my own and others, is that it really puts me in the present moment in my day-to-day life outside of meditation, and it really makes me savor each moment I have with the people I care about, and really makes me grateful for having them in my life and the experiences that we get to share in each moment. So I think that acceptance of mortality does something where it seems to really anchor me in the present moment and day to day, so I'm not just lost in a whirlwind of thoughts, or worrying about the future, or ruminating on the past, or anxious about some imagined scenario or something, just sort of lost in my mind. I'm really just sort of anchored in what's going on in that moment, the only real moment that exists. Everything else is just, a memory or a figment of our imagination. So it's a really interesting practice. I think I'll keep going with it and see what happens, because ultimately in meditation I'm trying to practice being present as much as possible and refocusing on the present moment, with the hopes that it will carry over into my day-to-day life. I didn't really understand how this practice would translate, but I'm starting to understand and experience how the practice of acceptance translates into just really enjoying in savoring each and every moment in my day-to-day life. So that's it for today. Last thing I want to mention is I started reading a new book. I got it right here. It's called Bliss Brain, Dawson Church. I've never read anything by him before. The neuroscience of remodeling your brain for resilience, creativity, and joy. Sounds interesting. I know I believe there's some meditative practices in there that they touch on and sort of the research behind them. So I'm curious to see what the book is all about. I've only read a couple pages so far, so I don't really have anything to report on it, but maybe down the road, if I pick some interesting nuggets out of it, I'll share them. So that's it for today. If you are struggling with your mental health at all, whether you're meditating or not, if you're worrying excessively, ruminating, catastrophizing, if you're full of anxiety, if you're feeling depressed, if you're just feeling overwhelmed with your thoughts or emotions, your day-to-day life, talk to somebody. Said it before, I'll say it again. One of the best things I ever did for myself was talk to somebody about my mental and emotional state that I was in. And I had gone years and years, probably, I don't even know, 12, 13, 14 years, something like that, a slow build-up of, a downward spiral into what was just sort of an everyday state of anxiety and some level of depression and obsessive compulsive disorder, and it was really unnecessary. In retrospect, it was really unnecessary to let it go that far, and just taking some action to talk to somebody, just mention what was going on in passing to somebody in my day-to-day life. There was no profound change in that moment, but it really was the first step towards understanding myself better and what was going on better, and within my own thoughts, and my own behaviors, and ultimately led me down a path to greater understanding, greater wholeness, and some healing, and ultimately, some sense of peace and ease in my day-to-day life instead of just being in a constant state of struggle. So yeah, if you are struggling yourself, I would definitely encourage you to not suffer in silence and reach out to somebody and talk to them. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Be good to yourself, be good to those around you, take care of yourself, and have a good evening.